Hi, everyone. Let's talk about energy levels and how your fitness program can improve them. So a lot of people really don't think to get truly fit and to take on a nutrition and a lifestyle and exercise program until they realize just how tired and sluggish they feel. Usually around 2, 3, 4 p.m., someone is just zapped. They have no energy left, and yet they still have many hours of productivity needed in the day. So this is where what brings some people just to the point where they say, okay, I guess it's time that I get fit. I might not care so much about what I look like. I might not really care about my health outcomes for the long term, but I do need to get through my days, and this seems to be the only way to do it. Now, some people have great increases in energy when they get more fit. Other people do not. They still report feeling just as wiped out. I want to talk to you about the clinical differences in what those exercise prescriptions and lifestyle and nutrition changes as well, what they look like in people who don't get great increases in energy and people who really do. So there's a couple of key differences here. Just because you're losing excess body fat and putting on some muscle tissue doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be more energetic. Now, it will mean you're more metabolic, which is a good first step. But that in and of itself isn't going to tell the story for what your energy levels are going to look like. So let's say you're getting the right macronutrients, meaning the right proteins, carbs, and fats throughout the day. You're getting the right amount. Getting the right amount is one thing, but if you're not actually getting the right kind of healthy foods, right? So if let's say you're still eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of canned foods, a lot of foods with preservatives, foods that are not organic, anything like that can still make your blood very unhealthy. And if your blood is unhealthy, then even in the face of gaining some muscle tissue, even in the face of losing excess body fat, even in the case where you're improving circulation, if your blood's unhealthy, you still might not get very good increases in your daily energy levels. You could still feel wiped out at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, even though you're more fit. So that's the first concern, relates to nutrition. Now let me talk about your exercise programming. And this is a very interesting kind of thing. I don't think you're going to hear too many places. If you're training to the point where you can gain muscle and get some bodybuilding benefits and lose some excess body fat, that still does not necessarily mean that you're going to have more energy, that your muscles are going to be tremendously more oxygenated, or that you're necessarily going to have more functional capacity throughout the day. If your heart function is not really improved, if you have the same general heart traits and heart functionality as you did when you were less fit, and I know that sounds funny, but it does happen. It can happen quite a bit. So if you have those same levels of heart output and heart productivity, and if circulation is not very improved, and if the training you're doing is enough to gain some muscle, lose some fat, but not really lead to much endurance or overall performance, then you could still very well feel wiped out. You'll have some improvements clinically in your energy levels, but it might not be enough to where you actually feel any significant change. You might still report that you're on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 2 or 3 every day, even after your exercise program begins. So what I'm going to suggest is your exercise program, once you get settled into it over those first few weeks, your exercise program needs to have the kind of strategies that are going to make sure they're giving you the explosive strength and the endurance that your muscles need. And as I mentioned earlier, we need to make sure that your nutrition is really spot on as well. Okay, it's not enough to just meet your macros every day. That'll be a nice starting point, but essentially, you're also going to need to get your blood healthy with the right kind of foods. Now, there are 2 more things that we should talk about here. One is hydration. And frankly, this is a really critical one. A lot of people are either not drinking healthy water, and maybe they are getting enough water each day, but it's not good, healthy water, or they're just plain not getting enough. If their body weight, let's say your body weight's 200 pounds, if you're getting fewer than about 100 ounces of water a day, that is probably going to be causing some trouble and could very well lead to having less energy. So even if you're doing everything else right, if you're not getting the right kind of hydration, then that can hurt you as well. Now, there's one final component that we really do need to talk about, and that's sleep. Now, I've been hearing throughout my career, people say, oh, don't worry about my sleep. I get 8 hours a night. And sometimes they'll back it up by saying, I don't really wake up much. Maybe I wake up once to go to the bathroom, but otherwise I'm not really waking up. It's great to get 8 hours, and it's great that you're not waking up frequently, but at the end of the day, you really want to make sure that your sleep has a lot more parameters being met than that. You want to keep the same bedtime and the same wake time every day. You want to keep your body trained so that it knows that, oh, it's 10 o'clock, it's time to go to bed. Hey, 6 a.m., time to wake up. As long as you keep a steady, within about 10 or 15 minutes, as long as you keep a steady bedtime, a steady wake time, your sleep is going to be a lot more productive. You're going to see much better quality sleep. And it's also important that you're easing yourself into bedtime appropriately. So, for example, I know people who will be on their phone and using electronics and getting that blue light right up until the minute they go to bed. And then they'll finish up a text or an email, they'll shut the phone off, or some cases not, which is even worse because you don't want a phone on while you're trying to sleep. But then they'll go right to bed and they're not giving their brain or their physiology a chance to really unwind. For that 30 to 45 minute period prior to going to sleep, it's a really good idea to be in a dark room, to not have electronics or anything, any kind of screens, any kind of blue light, preferably not even a TV that's getting into your brain, because what that will do is it really will depress the quality of sleep that you're about to get. You might still fall asleep very quickly, but the productivity of that sleep will be minimized. There's a lot more I can talk about when it comes to sleep, but for the purposes of this video, I think that's all we're going to mention for right now. My point is, if you're starting an exercise and a wellness program, that is awesome. You're adding years to your life, and that's great. But it's important to understand that if your energy levels aren't coming up right away, there's a lot we can do about that too, to make sure you're getting the kinds of conditioning that'll lead to more adaptation for your energy levels every day. My name is Dr. Val Fiat. Let me know in the comments. Contact us. You can call PPT as well at 877-698-3648. And you can visit us online at perfectpersonaltraining.com. I'm looking forward to your health and your fitness success.